Mr. President, it is true to say that there has never been a moment like this or a stage like this where innovators, prime contractors, private equity, titans of industry, labor leaders, defense leaders have come together for this type of moment. There's never been a moment like this where the aperture has opened up inside the Department of Defense for defense and the second word, innovation. Your demand of me as a business leader and a builder is that we move at the speed of business and competition and speed and scale. And that's what these folks have funded and founded in their companies. But our bureaucracy was built to keep most of you out. And we've been waging a war of attrition against the Pentagon bureaucracy to open up the aperture and make sure competition and speed and innovation and commercial options have a seat at the table. Not just great prime contractors who've been there for a long time, but many of our great companies that make many of our best systems started to look a lot more like the government than they looked like business. And so what the president does behind the Resolute desk with prime contractors, and you've been at those meetings, and I've been at those meetings, and it's a reminder to all of us that our nation needs the best weapons, not tomorrow, but today. And we need these companies not just adding an extra shift to the factory, but investing in another plant and another plant and another manufacturing line, which is what's happening here in Pennsylvania and all around the country. So when you talk about the arsenal of freedom, this is only something that a builder-in-chief could unleash, and you're doing it, sir, on American manufacturing and our industrial base across the country in energy. But in defense specifically, this is a generational investment in the future of our warfighting capabilities that our country has not seen since Ronald Reagan, and this one is bigger. Because what Joe Biden and previous administrations did to our military, you talk about a dead country. Well, we had a dead department, a Department of Defense, that was doing things the old way, sending the same money in the wrong direction, red tape, and monopolizing certain platforms. And you said we won't do it anymore, and the American warfighter requires that we change how we do these things. And we're going to hold the big guys accountable, which is what you do behind the Resolute desk with executive orders and no stock buybacks and no more delays. And we demand that you build new plants. And then we're also going to make sure the new runners, the fast runners, the young guys, the companies, the tech companies, our best innovators have the ability to get into the Defense Department. You shouldn't have to sue your way in to the Department of War, which is what companies in the past have had to do in order to compete. I hope these companies can attest the fact that because of President Trump's leadership, we have an entirely different department. And it's important because we're at an entirely different moment. Not only do we have near-peer adversaries with historic military buildups, but we're at a step-change moment. AI and frontier models, autonomy, quantum, space, hypersonics, you name it. If you're ahead now and you get ahead of the game, you're going to be way ahead. If you fall behind now, you fall even further behind. The have-nots and the haves, that gap is widening. President Trump sees the moment and is investing in it in our department, but across government to make sure the 21st century is an American century. But he's demanding that we do it differently. We do it in a fiscally responsible way. We audit our department. We ensure that the money that we ask for is well spent. So we've got a different department, a different moment, and thank God we have a different president who rebuilt the military once. He's doing it again and is willing to make a historic investment, $1.5 trillion investment in the War Department to ensure that we outcompete, without question, every other nation on planet Earth, so that things like Venezuela can continue to be done to reestablish deterrence around the world, but that next midnight hammer that's required 10, 20 years down the road is because of the F-47 and the B-21 and the autonomy and the carriers that this president will build because of this historic investment. The Golden Dome that protects our country, the AI that allows us to target faster. This investment will fundamentally change the battlefield, keep the American people safe now and into the future, and it would not happen with Donald Trump. Mr. President, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Thanks for everything you're doing. You know, last year, it was almost a year to the day, Mr. President, where you were in Pittsburgh for the Energy and Innovation Summit that Dina and I hosted. And one of the biggest announcements on that day was John Gray from Blackstone, a $25 billion announcement. And so I thought we might start with a year later, here's where we are. And I think what you're hearing from the business leaders in this room, the people in Pennsylvania, is the amount of investment and the level of activity is on fire. And John's a perfect example of that. So John, if you could just give us a quick update.
Sure. It's great to be here in Pennsylvania. President Trump, I want to start by thanking you for the deep commitment to supporting investment in American innovation in infrastructure, AI, and defense. Senator McCormick, I want to commend you once again, and Dina, for hosting a summit here in Pennsylvania focused on the vital national imperatives. We were together a year ago in Pittsburgh. We announced that $25 billion in digital and energy infrastructure. We said we'd do it over a decade. Since then, we've acquired multiple data center sites. We've made enormous progress in our joint venture with local utility PPL, and we're proud to report that we're on track to invest over $40 billion and do it in 5 years. $50 higher, 50% less time, not bad. These investments will create nearly 20,000 good-paying construction and permanent jobs, deliver meaningful benefits to communities, and help ensure that America stays at the forefront of the AI race. This would not have happened without the conference that you and the President hosted last year. We also got tremendous support from the governor in terms of infrastructure development. Everybody loves to complain that things are not working in the United States. Well, in Pennsylvania, they're working the way the founders intended 250 years ago. So congratulations to all of you. I would also just say last year, we talked about building critical infrastructure to power the innovation economy. Today, we're talking about applying that innovation to our most important priority, protecting our national security. At Blackstone, we're incredibly proud to be all in on both of these objectives. Technology is, as the Secretary noted, fundamentally reshaping the national defense. It's going to require enormous amounts of private capital, not only to invest in the new innovation, but also to scale up production in a capacity-constrained world. And Blackstone is ready to help in a very big way. We've already invested $20 billion in defense and aerospace in the last 5 years. We expect the scale and pace of that investment to increase meaningfully from here. We see national security as a compelling place to deploy capital on behalf of our investors that also supports a core American interest. So thank you, President Trump, Senator McCormick. It is an honor to be here today.
Thank you, John. You know, sir, you noted this, but one of the strongest voices in corporate America, someone who has spoken out in very similar terms as you have about peace through strength and about the need for America's military and economy to be strong, is Jamie. And Jamie's really taken this on. He's written extensively about it and made this a priority for J.P. Morgan in terms of national defense and resilience. So, Jamie, I wanted to just call on you and ask you to describe why you think this is such a priority and how the things we're doing here and the President's agenda is supporting that.
So, thank you. Mr. President, Mr. Secretary, Senator, there's nothing more important for our country, and in fact, don't think it's an exaggeration to say for the whole free and democratic world, that America maintain the preeminent military supported directly by the preeminent economy of the world. It's none too soon. We got behind, but God knows this is now, you guys have ignited the American dream, and you've ignited security and resiliency. You've reignited that arsenal of democracy that we have in this country, and it's just critical. There's a microcosm in Philadelphia, obviously in Pennsylvania, Philadelphia. I was at the Philadelphia Navy Yard this morning. There's only a small piece of what we're doing, and a small piece of what a lot of other people here are doing. That Navy Yard actually built ships in the Revolutionary War, ships in World War I, ships in World War II. It was closed down at one point, but the local government and the federal government have reopened it up. You now have ships that are going to be built there by Hanwha, a Korean company, and Rhodes Industries. They're both adding 400 or 500 jobs. People should remember when they add those jobs, there are another 5,000 jobs to be added to support it. A lot of small vendors, contractors, et cetera. And we're also helping, very importantly, to ignite that American dream part, is to get the kids, whether older, younger, whatever their backgrounds, were trained. And there's a school there, done partially by Hanwha and partially by the government, to train welders. These welders get paid while they're in their apprenticeship They get health care while they're in apprenticeship. When they graduate, I think after 16 weeks or something like that, they make $80,000 a year. That is the American dream. They go on and buy a house, get married, have a family, et cetera. And this is one small effort, and that's one microcosm. We need to do this around the nation, in fact, to help some of the other nations around the world, friends and allies, do the best they can to rebuild some of their militaries. So my hats are off. I applaud everyone in this room who's helped with this effort. There is nothing more important to leave this world safe for our children. Mr. President, thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Jamie. I know you know Jim Taiclet well from Lockheed. A small fun fact, so when Lieutenant McCormick got on the plane to deploy for the Gulf War, Captain Taiclet was the pilot of the plane out of Pope Air Force Base in North Carolina. And so we've known each other, I guess we got to know each other the last decade or so. But Jim and all the major primes have big operations in Pennsylvania. And Jim, I think you have an announcement even today that I was unaware of until earlier today, which is great news. So please give us a quick update on what you're doing in PA.
Definitely, Senator.
Remember that thing he said to me about short.
First of all, Mr. President, thank you for inspiring all of us to get together at an event like this. Secretary Hegseth, really appreciate your driving the acquisition transformation that is very much needed, as you just described. And Senator, this is an amazing gathering. For organizing it, you and Dina, really, we all owe you our thanks, so I appreciate doing that. So I was born and raised on the north side of Pittsburgh. My dad was a Boilermaker. And if I could have welded a straight bead and passed his test, Sean, I'd probably be in Boilermakers Local 154 in Pittsburgh right now. But it worked out that I'm here today with you. And people like my dad from Pennsylvania, the workers that we have in this state are why we have 5,000 employees here already. And what we're going to announce today is in our Archbald, Pennsylvania plant, where we make missile components for air defense missiles, sir. We're going to add another 700 jobs. We're going to double the size of the plant, invest $60 million, and add 160,000 square feet to that plant, doubling its size. And that's on top of $300 million we just completed investing in our Valley Forge operation, which does strategic missile reentry, among other things. And you know, Mr. President, that we're going to invest upwards of $9 billion in the next 3 years at 20 different sites. Looking forward to showing you some of those plans when you have time. And we are going to continue to build with you and with the Secretary the arsenal of democracy, and Pennsylvania will be ground zero for that effort. Thanks, Senator.
Thank you. And just real quickly, I'll keep us going. Danny Deep from General Dynamics. Danny is the president, and I had a chance to tour that 155 facility in Scranton, and you've got assets across Pennsylvania, another huge employer. Just give us a quick update on what's going on in Pennsylvania and how you see the future expanding based on what's the president's policies that have been put in place.
Thank you, Senator. Secretary, Mr. President, thank you for your leadership here at home and abroad. It is inspiring. So here in Pennsylvania, when you talk about manufacturing muscle, this is really where we have a lot of muscle. 1,100 suppliers, 8 facilities around the Great Commonwealth. Over the last number of years, we've expanded artillery production by 4x. And over the next several years, we'll see it continue to grow. You mentioned Rhodes Industries and that $2.5 billion award. We give you a little bit on Rhodes Industries because it's a great story. This is a multi-generation company with family ownership, and they keep their promises. And now they have 10 years to look forward and add resources. Their workforce will increase by 5x. And they're expanding, and we're doing that all over the state with all of these 1,100 suppliers. And thank you for your leadership to do that. And we're committed to deliver Virginia-class and Columbia, and that's what Rhodes is going to work on. And we don't make aircraft carriers.
Thank you, Danny. You know, your administration has been very active. The Secretary of the Navy, your Transportation Secretary in the Philadelphia shipyard. What is happening there is magical. And we have Michael Coulter here as the CEO of that U.S. operation. But it is with Hanwha's oversight and leadership, we are bringing next-generation shipbuilding back to the United States, and it's incredibly exciting. Maybe just give us a quick update on that, Michael.
Thank you, Senator. President Trump, I want to start by saying thank you to you and your administration for your leadership on revitalizing the defense industrial base and in revitalizing shipbuilding in the United States. Mr. Secretary, I've been in aerospace and defense industry for decades. This is the most business-friendly, industry-friendly administration we have ever seen. The access, the dialogue between the Pentagon and all of my colleagues in industry is like nothing we've ever seen. We greatly appreciate it. Because of that access, the President's leadership, and the demand signal, Mr. President, that you have sent on defense budget, we now have an environment that Senator McCormick has been able to pull together here where we have defense industry leaning forward, we have private sector, private capital leaning forward. Mr. President, your leadership has led to all of that. We're very grateful for the opportunity to build the radar ships that you announced today. They will be a central part of the defending the homeland from the missile threats that you have also made a priority. As you mentioned, sir, our shipyard in Korea puts out about one ship a week. We have a plan to bring that capability to Philadelphia. You know this better than anybody, Mr. President, but ships win battles, shipyards win wars. And we are going to recreate what has been great in Philadelphia. Philadelphia, home to the nation, home to the Navy, home to naval shipbuilding with the first frigate. It is going to be the home to make American shipbuilding great again, and we're very glad to be part of that, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. And was I right? One ship a year 2 years ago, and the goal was to get to 20 ships a year? Think of it, 1 ship a year to 20 ships a year. That's the path that's happening because of the policies, the emphasis on shipbuilding. We're still not where we need to be, but a huge, huge step forward. You know, this whole summit also, Mr. President, we have the defense primes here, but we have a lot of emergent technologies. There's 130 booths up here, Pennsylvania companies, AI, drones. It's incredible what we're seeing. And there's all sorts of capital coming into these emergent technologies in the defense tech space. And we have at the table here 2 of the really most successful investors in defense tech. So I'd like to ask them both to comment on that, because our future, as the Secretary said, is not just doubling down on the existing primes, although they play an incredibly important role. It's bringing in new entrants and new technologies and disruptors. And that's what we need for the future. So Antonio Gracias, who you know well, has been extremely successful in this space. Maybe you could give us a thought, Antonio, and then I'll turn to Thomas Toll.
Thank you, Dave. I appreciate it very much, and thank you, Dina, for inviting me. Mr. President, it's been extraordinary. You know, I've been working in manufacturing defense tech actually since the mid-90s, and there's never been an environment like this. You're right, Secretary Hegseth, never. We have 5 companies here today, Anduril, Saronic, Hadrian, General Matter. We are literally seeing an environment and change at the DOW that is allowing these companies to accelerate and unleashing American entrepreneurship in the defense area. It's truly extraordinary, and I want to thank you. We needed it as a country for reindustrialization. We also need to defend ourselves. I think about my own children. If they're fighting a war, what they want to have, that's how we decide to invest in, and clearly we want this technology. Thank you. We're very grateful. Thank you.
Thank you, Antonio. Thomas?
I live here in Pennsylvania, and the atmosphere that you've created, sir, under your leadership, Secretary Hegseth, Senator McCormick, we've invested billions of dollars in defense tech because we know that we need it. We know that we have to, we live in a dangerous world, and we have to defend that, and we have to be leaders. We've invested in companies like Gecko Robotics here in Pittsburgh, and without the change that you're causing, these things aren't possible. So I just want to say thank you very much, and it's going to make a massive difference for the next 20 years.
You know, Mr. President, one of the things that you talked about constantly on the campaign trail, and that I tried to talk about as well, and that you've been focused on like a laser, is jobs. And what's happening here in Pennsylvania is that if you go to talk to any manufacturer or any job site, they can't get the skilled workers they need because there's so much new investment and activity going in. So we need to take advantage of this moment and build the workforce. In Pennsylvania, we have an incredibly skilled workforce. As I said earlier, we have 190,000 people that work in the defense industry. We hope that number is going to double over the next 5 or 10 years. But one thing I think we can all agree on is the American dream is going to be pursued and captured by creating these great paying jobs for the next generation of folks. And you know, Sean McGarvey, who has become a friend, I called him during the campaign, and he didn't think you or I was going to win. And we bet a steak dinner, and he ended up losing on that steak dinner and has been a great ally in terms of what we need to do for our workforce to be successful. So, Sean, maybe you could say a few words, what you're seeing and what the workforce of the future needs to look like.
Well, thank you, Senator, Mr. Secretary, Mr. President, and the President knows, you know, my business better than I know my business. We've been in the workforce development business when it comes to construction skills for 100+ years. We have 1,600 training centers across the United States. We spend $3 billion of our own money every year. We don't need any money from anybody in the audience, anybody on the podium, the federal government. We got our own. We have 21,000 instructors. We have 300,000 plus people in our programs right now, registered apprenticeship, and we can ramp that up to 1 million. So we can meet the needs of this industry and the other industries, the tech industry, the power generation industry. But what we need is deals, and we need deals way further up the pipeline when other decisions are being made. Our members, you know, have historically been just great patriots in this country, whether it was World War I, World War II, entering the Seabees to build the airstrips and the bases across the world, the Manhattan Project, building Oak Ridge, Savannah River, you name it, and still working in those facilities today, all the way up to COVID, when we had to keep hospitals open, build temporary morgues. It was the members of the building trades that stepped up and did it. So we believe that highly skilled craft workers are a national security issue, and we are prepared to meet any needs necessary right here in Pennsylvania for Senator McCormick or for anybody across this country, and we appreciate the opportunity to do so for our country, Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you, Sean. Thanks for the great support for everything you've done on our workforce. Mr. President, I think I might ask the Secretary, Dan Driscoll, to make a few remarks and maybe close on that. I just want to say this has been an extraordinary event in the Army and the Army War College, which you're here, the 4th president in America's history to visit here since the Revolutionary War, the Carlisle Arsenal, the Army War College, and the Army's been extraordinary. So, Mr. Secretary, first of all, thank you to General Bradenkamp and everybody that made this possible. But maybe give you a word, and I'll close and then turn to the President.
Mr. President, Secretary of War Hegseth, your leadership, what it's fundamentally done for the people in my life every day, the American soldier, is you have unleashed them to do what they joined the Army to do, to be ready to fight and win our nation's wars. And we had gotten in their way for the last 30 and 40 years. We had not let all of these entrepreneurs come get in the mud with them and help them change what they could use to fight. And it is because of you, Secretary, and you, Mr. President, that all of the regulatory nonsense has been knocked out of the way. And I think if you talk to any of the soldiers, sir, on your way to the helicopter, what they will tell you is the last 18 months have looked nothing like most of their careers. And that is because all of you on this stage and everyone out in the audience. So thank you so much for being here.
Mr. President, just let me close with the following remarks. I think we're in the middle of an enormous transformation in America that's being led as a result or taking place as a result of your leadership. The defense industrial base, making sure our military is ready to take on these many challenges we see and evolves in a way that's able to ensure that we are going to remain the greatest military in the world. Under your leadership, that's happening. So thank you for that. On a personal note, I want to thank you for coming to Pennsylvania. I know it's hard with your amazing schedule, and you've done this twice. You did it last year, you did it this year. It is a catalyst for action. It's making huge things happen in Pennsylvania. Dina and I are so grateful that you're willing to do this for Pennsylvania and for our country. So thank you. We're eternally grateful, and we really appreciate your leadership.
Thank you.
Sir, would you like the final word?
Well, I just want to say thank you all very much. This is an honor that I won't forget, and I appreciate your saying I've been here twice, which is pretty much max out once a year, but I'll be here again next year for you. Thank you.
Thank you.
All very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, the 45th and 47th President of the United States, thank you.